In this series of tutorials, we're going to look at creating gizmos in Nuke. Gizmo is a funny name for what Nuke calls macros. They're basically just groups of nodes that get bundled up and saved to disk so you can recycle them into other comps. So let's start with a very simple example. You may remember the dspill expression that we created in a previous tutorial. Let's package this up into a gizmo so that we can use it in other comps real easily. So as I mentioned, gizmos start as a group. So to create a group in Nuke, you select the nodes that you want to group and you select Control-G to create a group. We now have a group. And you'll see that we also have a tab for the contents of the group. If this isn't visible, when the group is selected here, you can hold down Control and Enter, and it will pop up that tab and dive into the group in its own graph editor or node graph editor. As you can see, Nuke has created a little stub input for us and output, and those correspond with the inputs and outputs of the group node. Now right now, it's just naming the input 1, which is the default name. If we wanted to give this a more descriptive name, we could come in here and name this input 1 node to be something better. Let's call this image. So now if we go back to the node graph, you'll see there's the image. Let's dive into our expression node that we created. Now we originally in our expression node created user knobs in the expression node, but what we want is user knobs at the gizmo level. So we're going to recreate these user knobs up here in the group node. So we're going to go up to the group node, make sure that it's selected, that we're selecting the right thing, and then right click anywhere and manage user knobs. We created 2 user knobs that were floating points. So we'll start with the first one. It was called amount. And this label here is just the label for human consumption. This name is the name of the variable we're creating, and the label is a human readable label. So this will be dspill amount for the human to read. And we want a slider that just goes from 0 to 1. So hit OK. And we'll create another one, floating point slider. And this was RB mix. And the human readable label will be red, blue, weight for our dspill. And this one went from -1 to 1. So now we've basically just recreated the same sliders that we had in our user controls of our expression node. So that doesn't seem very useful, but to link these up to this level, now all we need to do, instead of linking it to itself by just calling the name here, which implicitly will pull it from the user controls of this node, we can give Nuke a little bit more information, which will tell it to pull it from the user knobs of this group node above it. So we're going to append parent and period. So parent.rbmix to the beginning of here, prepend parent period. So this will tell it to go up to the group above it and get this user control. So we'll just go through here and update everything. So let's view here and see if it's working. Because we don't have the dspill amount turned to anything, we need to turn this up, and there. It looks like our group user controls that we created are now working the same way that our local user knobs were working before. So let's go ahead and just delete these user knobs. We can click anywhere in here and manage user knobs. We can basically just delete all of our old ones just for house cleaning, so they're not confusing moving forward. And all of our controls for this expression will now live here at the group level. So let's tidy this up a little bit. We'll reset these to the defaults that we want to have save into our Gizmo. So I'm setting that to 0, and it looks like I messed this up a little bit when I didn't put a space. So let's manage user knobs again and edit that and make sure that that label is nice and tidy. There we go. And let's name this group something useful. So we will call the group dspill. And if we want to add help, we can edit the help by right-clicking anywhere. Edit help, and this will be the help message that saves into the Gizmo when we save it to disk. So we go something descriptive. This Gizmo will despill a green screen. By the weighted average of red or blue. Alrighty. So we'll go back to, now we'll go back up to the node graph just to make sure that we're editing the right node here. Double click the despill color, and you'll see that the node, the group node, has a button for export as Gizmo. So we're going to click that. And while you're working on Gizmos, the best place to save them is into your own home directory under the .nuke directory. There we go. This will put it in Nuke's path, and Nuke will be able to automatically find the node from here. So we'll call this one dspill color, and it will add .gizmo to the end on its own. Now that the Gizmo is saved into the path, we can drop it into the node graph by right-clicking and selecting File, Comp Script command, or hitting X, and then typing the name of the script, the Gizmo, here with TCL selected, and then this will drop it down as a node. So let's get rid of this dspill group, dspill color group. We can see we have the dspill color Gizmo. We'll view it there. And there you have it. We have our first Gizmo. So we'll continue to expand this in the following tutorials.